Today, I'm putting the theory to the test. Can I really get anything for just 1 cent? Let's find out. The idea of getting something for just 1 cent has always sparked curiosity and debate among consumers and marketers alike. It's a concept that's hard to wrap your head around. What could you possibly get for such a small amount of money? Many of us think it's impossible to get anything of value for just 1 cent. We've been conditioned to believe that if something's really cheap, it's probably not worth our time or attention. And let's be honest, when we see something priced at 1 cent, our first thought is, what's the catch? There's gotta be some hidden fee or trick lurking in the fine print. But is that really the case? Is it truly impossible to get something of value for just 1 cent? I think a lot of us are skeptical because we're looking at this idea through the lens of everyday consumerism. We're used to paying a certain price for certain products, and 1 cent just doesn't fit into that equation. When we start to dig deeper, though, we realize that there are actually some pretty interesting examples of things you can get for 1 cent. And I'm not just talking about stale candy or broken toys, I'm talking about real products and services that have actual value. Promotions and clearance sales are a great place to start. Sometimes companies will offer products for 1 cent just to get rid of old inventory or make room for new stock. You can also find digital items like ebooks or music tracks for 1 cent, which is a no-brainer if you're looking to build up your library. But what about physical products? Can you really get something tangible for 1 cent? The answer is yes, and it might surprise you. I recently came across a website that sells surplus goods, and I was able to score a brand new alarm clock for, you guessed it, 1 cent. It was shipped right to my doorstep, and it works like a charm. It got me thinking, what other surprises are out there waiting to be discovered? I started digging through online marketplaces and forums, and I stumbled upon a community of people who are obsessed with finding penny deals. They share tips and tricks on how to snag the best bargains, and it's actually really fascinating. One guy even shared a story about how he bought a working laptop for 1 cent on an online auction site. It was a few years old, but it still had plenty of life left in it. He ended up flipping it for a profit, and it just goes to show that you never know what you might find when you're digging through the bargain bin. So what does it all mean? Can you really get anything for 1 cent? The answer is absolutely. It might not be the latest and greatest product, but there are definitely some hidden gems out there waiting to be found. Thanks for joining me on this journey into the world of penny deals. If you've got a story to share about scoring a great bargain, leave it in the comments below. And if you want to learn more about the psychology behind pricing and consumer behavior, check out our video on the power of pricing psychology.
Hey everyone, welcome back to your channel name, your #1 source for numismatics, history, and treasure hunting from your own pocket change. Today, we're diving deep into the rich story of a tiny copper-colored piece of American heritage, the 1987 Liberty 1 cent coin. Yes, that's right. We're talking about the humble Lincoln penny, minted in Denver in 1987. It may seem like just a small piece of loose change, but this coin is packed with fascinating history, incredible facts, and in some rare cases, it's worth much more than just 1 cent. And stay tuned until the end, because we'll tell you how one of these coins recently sold for $1.52. Let's get started. To truly appreciate the 1987 penny, we need to go back in time, all the way to the early 20th century. In 1909, to honor the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth, the U.S. Mint released the Lincoln cent, the first American coin to feature a real historical figure instead of the symbolic Lady Liberty. The original design, by sculptor Victor David Brenner, featured Lincoln's portrait on the obverse, the front of the coin, and 2 wheat stalks on the reverse, which is why early versions are often called wheat pennies. Fast forward to 1959, on the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, and the U.S. Mint updated the reverse design to feature the Lincoln Memorial. This was done to modernize the penny and reinforce Lincoln's lasting legacy. This iconic Lincoln Memorial reverse would continue for 50 years, until 2008. And right in the heart of that era, we find our star, the 1987 penny. You'll see a right-facing profile of President Lincoln. Above his head is the word Liberty, a core value of the United States. To the right, you'll find the date 1987, and the D Mint mark, which stands for Denver, the facility where the coin was struck. The iconic motto, "In God We Trust," arches over the top. The reverse shows the grand Lincoln Memorial in stunning detail, Look closely and you can actually see a tiny representation of Lincoln seated inside. Above the building are the words, United States of America. The motto, E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many one, appears just above the memorial, and at the bottom, of course, 1 cent. The coin is made of a core of 99.2% zinc with a thin copper plating, making it appear like a classic copper penny. This composition was adopted in 1982, after rising copper prices made it too expensive to produce pennies entirely from copper. Now let's talk about mintage. Just how many of these coins were made? Well, the Denver Mint produced a staggering 4,879,389,514 1-cent coins in 1987. Yes, nearly 5 billion. That's a lot of pennies. These coins entered circulation across the country and were used in millions of everyday transactions, from buying bubble gum to paying parking meters. Because of this high mintage, most of these pennies are extremely common, especially in circulated condition. You've probably held one without even realizing it. However, and here's where things get exciting, not all 1987 pennies are created equal. Some have survived in exceptional condition, and a few rare era coins have become valuable collector's items. Let's talk about one of the most exciting parts of coin collecting, errors. Even with modern minting technology, mistakes happen. And those mistakes? They can make your penny extremely valuable. Some error varieties found on 1987 pennies include off-center strikes, where the coin wasn't properly aligned during minting, double die obverse, where elements like the date or lettering appear doubled, clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin is literally missing, die cracks and cuds, raised lines or blobs caused by broken dies. Collectors love these mistakes because they're rare. And rarity drives value. Always inspect your pennies closely. A little error could mean big money. Next up, condition. When it comes to coin collecting, condition is king. Grading agencies like PCGS and NGC rate coins on the Sheldon scale, from 1, poor, to 70, perfect mint state. Most 1987 pennies in circulation fall in the fine to very fine range, with a face value of just 1 cent. But if your coin is in uncirculated condition, or better yet, a certified MS67 or MS68, that's when things get interesting. These coins exhibit incredible detail, no scratches or dings, and a beautiful original luster. In these top conditions, a 1987 penny becomes a desirable collector's item. So what's a 1987 Liberty 1 cent coin worth today? In most cases, if it's a circulated penny, its value is 1 cent. Yep, pocket change. If your coin is in mint state condition, MS65 or higher, it could fetch anywhere from $5 to $15, depending on the buyer. Higher grades like MS67 can sell for $30 to $45. And here's the kicker. A recently auctioned 1987 penny in stunning uncirculated condition sold for $52. That's a 5,200% increase from face value, all for a coin you might have sitting in a jar at home. So how can you cash in? First, start looking through your change. Yes, seriously. Old coffee cans, coin jars, and penny rolls are gold mines for hidden treasures. Second, check coin shops or online marketplaces like eBay or Etsy to see what sellers are listing and what buyers are paying. And if you think you've found a high quality or error coin, send it to a grading service like PCGS or NGC for professional authentication. So there you have it. The full story of the 1987 Liberty 1 cent coin. A symbol of American history, a pocket-sized tribute to Lincoln, and for some lucky collectors, a surprisingly valuable piece of copper and zinc. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring the bell so you never miss a coin worth money. Drop a comment below if you've ever found a rare penny. And who knows, maybe your story will be featured in our next video. Until next time, happy collecting, and don't forget to check your change. Could a single penny be worth more than just 1 cent? What if I told you that a humble copper-colored coin from 1986, yes, the Liberty 1 cent coin, could actually be worth up to $8.90 today? Stick around, because you might just discover a treasure hiding right in your change jar. Let's start by taking a close look at the 1986 Liberty 1-cent coin. Officially known as the Lincoln cent, this coin is more than just pocket change. It's a miniature piece of American history. On the obverse, the front, you'll find the familiar bust of President Abraham Lincoln. This design was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate Lincoln's 100th birthday, and it remains in use to this day. Designed by Victor David Brenner, Lincoln's portrait is accompanied by the inscriptions "In God We Trust" above, "Liberty" to the left, and the date 1986 to the right. Beneath the year you might see a mint mark, a small D for Denver or no mint mark, which means it was struck in Philadelphia. Now flip it over. On the reverse side, you'll see the Lincoln Memorial, another tribute to the legacy of the great emancipator. This reverse design was crafted by Frank Gasparo and first appeared in 1959, marking the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. If you look closely, between the pillars of the memorial, you'll even spot a tiny representation of the Lincoln statue sitting inside. Talk about detail! Now, let's talk about what this coin is made of. 1986 was part of a new era in penny production. Earlier Lincoln cents, those minted from 1909 until 1982, were mostly made of 95% copper. But rising metal costs changed everything. Starting in mid-1982, the United States Mint transitioned to a zinc core with a thin copper plating. That means your 1986 Liberty 1-cent coin is composed of 97.5% zinc and just 2.5% copper. The total weight? A light 2.5 grams. Try weighing one yourself. If it comes in heavier, you might just have a rare transitional error. In 1986, the U.S. Mint produced a staggering total of over 10.1 billion 1-cent coins. That includes 4.4 billion from Philadelphia and 5.1 billion from Denver. There was also a proof version struck at the San Francisco Mint, denoted with an S Mint mark, with an output of about 3.3 million coins for collectors. To really appreciate the 1986 Liberty 1-cent coin, we need to understand the time period it came from. The year 1986 was a pivotal moment in American history. Ronald Reagan was in his second term as president. The country was experiencing economic recovery after the early 80s recession. The Space Shuttle Challenger disaster had just occurred, casting a shadow over national morale, while Americans were celebrating the 100th anniversary of the Statue of Liberty with grandeur and patriotic pride. It was a time of renewal and reflection, and coins like the 1986 penny were symbols of everyday American life. They circulated in millions of hands, used in vending machines, phone booths, and cash registers. Yet, despite being common, some of these coins were destined to become collectibles. Here's where things get interesting: errors and variants. While most 1986 pennies are ordinary, a few slipped through the cracks of quality control and have become prized by collectors. Look out for coins with double dies, especially around the inscriptions like Liberty or In God We Trust. Off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or even coins struck on the wrong metal planchet are all incredibly valuable. In some rare cases, these error coins can sell for hundreds, sometimes even thousands of dollars at auction. And remember, condition matters. Coins in mint state, meaning never circulated and with no wear, are much more valuable than those that have seen decades of pocket life. Alright, let's out numbers. How much is your 1986 Liberty 1-cent coin actually worth today? In general circulation, most 1986 pennies are still worth, well, just 1 cent. But if you've got one in excellent condition, or a rare error variety, you could be looking at something far more exciting. The current market value for a high-grade, uncirculated 1986 Lincoln cent can reach up to $8.90. That's nearly 900 times its face value. And remember, proof coins, especially those with deep cameo finishes from the San Francisco Mint, are highly sought after by collectors. These coins, when perfectly preserved, can command even higher prices in the numismatic world. So, next time you empty your pockets, take a moment. Look closely at those pennies. The 1986 Liberty 1-cent coin might just be your hidden gem. Did you check your stash yet? Found a valuable penny? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you never miss a coin that could change your fortune. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes, history is just a penny away. Use macro lens shots for coin details. Add a graphic overlay showing mint marks and how to identify them. Include a segment with a magnifying glass or microscope inspection. Add pop-up facts and trivia during narration to keep viewers engaged. Would you like a shortened version of this script, or maybe a script in a different? Hey coin collectors, treasure hunters, and history buffs! Welcome back to Channel Name, your ultimate stop for numismatic knowledge and money mysteries. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of the 1984 Liberty 1-cent coin. Yes, that humble penny you might have in your pocket right now could actually be worth more than you think. Stick around, because this is one story that'll make you look twice at your change jar. Before we zoom in on the 1984 penny, let's rewind the clock and go back to the origins of the 1-cent coin itself. The United States Mint began striking 1-cent coins in 1793. Back then, they were made of pure copper and were significantly larger than the pennies we see today. These early coins featured the flowing hair Liberty design and later transitioned through a number of iconic images including the draped bust, classic head, and eventually, the Indian head penny. But it was in 1909, on the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, that the Lincoln cent was born. Designed by Victor David Brenner, it was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person, President Abraham Lincoln. And it's this design that still lives on today, with some modern modifications. Now, fast forward to 1984, a year filled with Cold War tension, the rise of personal computers, and unforgettable pop culture moments. But while the world was focused on the Olympics and Michael Jackson's Thriller, the U.S. Mint quietly struck billions, yes, billions, of Lincoln cents. In 1984, the U.S. was deep into the Reagan era. The Mint was producing coins like never before to support a growing economy. The 1984 1-cent coin was minted primarily at the Philadelphia Mint, with no mint mark, and also at the Denver Mint, with a small d just below the year. These pennies were minted using a copper-plated zinc composition, a change that began in 1982 due to rising copper prices. Let's take a closer look at the design of the 1984 Liberty 1-cent coin. On the obverse, that's the front, you'll see the familiar bust of President Abraham Lincoln, facing right. Above his head are the words "In God We Trust." To the left, the word Liberty, and to the right, the date, 1984. On the reverse side, we find the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 to mark Lincoln's 150th birthday. If you look closely between the columns of the memorial, you can even spot a tiny image of Lincoln seated inside. Above the memorial are the words United States of America and E Pluribus Unum. Below it, of course, is the denomination, 1 cent. Composition, 97.5% zinc, 2.5% copper plating weight, 2.5 grams diameter, 19.05 mm edge, plain designer, Victor D. Brenner, obverse, Frank Gasparo, reverse. So what's the value of a 1984 penny in circulation? Well, most of these coins are extremely common. The Philadelphia Mint alone produced over 8 billion of them, yes, billion with a B. That makes the average 1984 penny in worn, circulated condition worth just 1 cent. But wait, not so fast. There's a reason collectors and treasure hunters are always keeping an eye out for this specific year. Despite its huge mintage, there are certain rare varieties and errors that make some 1984 pennies far more valuable than just face value. One of the most famous varieties from 1984 is the 1984 doubled die obverse penny. This error results in a visible doubling on Lincoln's ear, known in the collecting world as the doubled ear penny. Spot one of these and you might be holding a coin worth over $100, or even more depending on its condition. There are also off-center strikes, die cracks, and other minor minting errors that can increase a coin's value. As with all coins, condition is key. The better preserved the penny, the higher the potential value. Uncirculated 1984 Lincoln cents, especially those in mint state grades like MS 65 or higher, can also fetch a premium from collectors. So what is the 1984 Liberty 1-cent coin worth today? While the average circulated coin still holds a face value of 1 cent, the current market value of a well-preserved 1984 penny in uncirculated condition can be worth around $4.70. That's right, if you've got a 1984 penny that's shiny, crisp, and shows no signs of wear, it could be worth nearly $5 to the right collector. And if it's a rare era variety? You could be looking at significantly more. Here are some quick tips to help you identify whether your 1984 penny is worth more than face value. Look for doubling, especially around Lincoln's ear. Check for off-center strikes or dyed breaks. Use a magnifying glass or coin microscope. Compare it to certified examples online. Weigh the coin. It should be 2.5 grams. Anything heavier might be a rare copper version. So, there you have it, the 1984 Liberty 1-cent coin. It may look like just another penny, but it carries a fascinating story, historical significance, and even the potential to add some unexpected value to your collection. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just getting started, always keep an eye out. Treasures like these are hiding in plain sight. Smash that like button if you learned something new today, and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of rare coins, paper money, and lost currency history. Let us know in the comments, have you ever found a valuable penny in your change? We'd love to hear your story.